we've been used in document that we've been using these years, the Education for the Sustainable Development Goals, learning objectives, published by UNESCO in 2017. It reads that education for the SDG is a holistic and transformational education, which requires a shift from teaching to learning, an action-oriented, transformative pedagogy which supports self-directed learning, participation and collaboration, problem orientation, inter and transdisciplinary, and the linking of formal and informal learning. This was a quote. During these years, we have been promoting in Catalonia an initiative called Escola Nova 21, a New School 21, for that paradigm shift in education. And we believe after years of interacting with schools of elementary, primary, secondary education, high schools and universities, that project-based learning is an optimal methodological approach to achieve this paradigm shift. With this collective of Catalan schools that we have been working with, we've seen project-based learning as a great tool for schools of all diverse profile, and also at university level. We have been working with Pompeu Fabra University, led by Professor Marc Carrió, who is today with us here, both to create a digital platform and also to promote in the university itself this approach. And we have been following the clear PBL standards promoted by the Bach Institute of Education, PBLWorks, and we are grateful to have here its director, Bob Lenz, who did training summer in Barcelona in 2019 precisely to prepare the site event that was planned for the high-level political forum in 2020. 2 years have passed since the beginning of the pandemic. We are here again, and we hope that this site event helps you to realize the relevance of project-based learning as a tool, as a means to achieve the SDG. Many thanks.
Thank you very much, Eduard, for these introducing words. I will now give the word to Dr. Marc Carrió from UPF and Dr. Bob Lenz from PBLWorks that will present the framework of PBL for SDGs. Dr. Marc Carrió will frame which is the purpose of education for SDGs, which competencies we want our students to develop so that they could contribute effectively to the achievement of SDGs. And Dr. Bob Lenz will tell us about how we can ensure the development of these competencies by the approach of the project-based learning and its criteria to be high-quality projects. So please, Marc, could you please first begin you, and afterwards we will have Mr. Bob Lenz. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Eduard and Marina, for inviting me. It's a pleasure for me to be here. As Eduard was saying before, I'm a teacher and researcher in science education in Universitat Pompeu Fabra. And I have been working with Catesco for these last 2 years in this initiative of PBL for SDG. The idea of this initiative is to create a community of teachers. If we can go through the slides, please. Okay, thanks. The idea that we had was to create a big community of teachers that are interested in promoting global citizenship and sustainability development through project-based learning. And to achieve this goal, we thought that it would be useful to create a digital platform that could be useful to share projects and share experiences, that the teachers can reuse projects from other schools and universities and inspire other teachers. So we started like 2 years ago, and we realized that we needed some exemplary projects as how can we develop these key competences for sustainability through project-based learning. We really believe that is an appropriate methodology. But we think that sometimes it was difficult to put the focus in these key competences for sustainability. So this last year, we have been working with several teachers with a working group that we called Working Group for Competences for Sustainability. There were members from different educational levels, from primary, secondary, and university teachers, and with the idea of reflecting on how is the best way to promote the development of these competences. I don't know if you know this framework of the key competences for sustainability. Is the framework that UNESCO proposes, that was first proposed by VIEC at 2011, and then has been revised by several authors and experts in sustainability. And we took the framework that has the last revision that was made by Katia Brundiers in 2021. And they proposed these 8 competences for sustainability that all people should develop in order to address the big challenges that are the SDGs, okay, the Sustainable Development Goals. So maybe if I can go to the next slide, it's easier for me to explain this framework. The first competence that it has been seen that is that the people need to address these complex problems that are the Sustainable Development Goals is the systems thinking competency. That is this ability to analyze a problem from different perspectives, different visions, and to understand the complexity of these problems, so that we can analyze from different domains that can be like scientific domain, but also political, sociological, and several different domains and different scales, for example, the more local or global, and to understand the problem in the historical context that we have, how it has been evolved from historically, in what point we are now, and to where we are going to. Okay, so this would be the first competence to develop, that is understanding the complexity and how all these elements interact between them. Once we have this analysis, this brings us to think in what is the future, and what are the possible futures that we have, and what are the more probable and more the ones that we desire. So this is the future thinking competencies that it has to be with prediction, with imagining different future scenarios. But the most important maybe is to decide which of these future scenarios we want and what kind of interventions we have to do to go towards this future scenario, so that to understand that our actions can determine our future. So this is like the second key competence that we can develop, and in order to decide what kind of scenario is for us more sustainable, we desire more. It has to be with our values and beliefs. So it's important to identify what are the values that are behind all these actions that we have to do to go to this scenario that we want. So with these values thinking competencies that it has to do with identifying the own values, the values from the others, to be able to negotiate with others common values, common objectives, and decide all together which kind of future scenario we want. Okay, and to do this also is important to be able to plan what action plan we have to do in order to go to this future scenario. And this is the strategic thinking competency. that it has is very related with the critical thinking, because it's important to question our own values, but also our own actions, and to have the ability to build a positioning through about sustainability that is well founded and with good arguments. Okay, so it's very linked when we do this action plan to go to this more sustainable scenario that we want to work on this critical thinking competency. Okay, and when we have to do all these change actions, it's also crucial to think in our self-awareness. So what are all the emotions that arise when we want to change? What are all the uncertainties that we have, the motivations, the frustrations, and we have to learn how to manage all these emotions. And this is this self-awareness competence that has to be along all the process, but is very important, okay? And of course that all these thoughts and all these actions has to be in a collective way in order to have an impact. So through all the process, it's very important to develop also the collaborative competency. And this, it means to be able to work with our peers, but also with many different people, okay, and different stakeholders to identify what are the actors that are important in order to be able to promote these changes. And this is this collaborative competences that it should go through all this process, okay, and then all these competences should be put in practice in an integrated way. And for this, there is like this meta competence that is called the integrated problem solving competency, that is, well, just the ability to respond to a really complex problem, integrating all these competences. Okay, and this is the purpose that we should expect from a project, from our educational practice. Okay, I hope you could understand the framework of these competences. We think that project-based learning is a very appropriate learning strategy to promote all these competences, and that we can articulate the projects with this narrative that we are working with the SDGs, developing all these 8 competences. So I think now Bob Lenz will explain you about how to design high quality project-based learning, and then we will go, how can we, with the projects, we can see how these competences can be developed through the projects. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mar. I give the word to Bob. Yes, Bob, please.
All right. Thank you. So that was fantastic overview of the competencies, and I think as an introduction to this work. You're not going to be able to, I think we just know common sense, you're not going to learn competencies reading about it in a book or from a lecture. You actually have to do it and practice it over and over again. And we believe project-based learning is just as Mar said, is if not the best, one of the best ways to learn and practice these competencies. So we can go to the next slide. And we're going to keep going. One more slide. Oops. My slides didn't make it. All right. I will.
Bob, I will share the presentation. Clara, please, could you cut your presentation and I will do the presentation of the slides. Thank you. Okay, sorry, just a second. Que no trobo.
Meanwhile, just may just say that the link between Mar and Bob is huge, because the competencies that Mar explains from the UNESCO documents are totally aligned, and we discussed this with Bob, with what PBLWorks is promoting. So here we go.
Here we go. Excellent. Okay. We can just skip next slide for time. There we go. So at the Buck Institute for Education and specifically PBLWorks, we have a vision that all students, no matter where they live or what their background, deserve to experience high quality project-based learning. Because we believe, you learn those competencies, but you also can master academic content skills. You develop the competencies, and you also develop a personal agency needed to tackle one's life's challenges and the world's challenges. And I think that's where it's just such a nice overlap with the SDGs. Next slide, please. So we set about in 2018 of gathering groups of educators and academics and researchers and practitioners from all over the United States and all over the world. We had about 10 different countries represented. And our goal was to come up with this criteria. And because we believe that, high quality project-based learning provides outcomes for equity and access for all students. And you get that through the result of the project design. And we believed at that time, and that these two questions, the why and the how, were already fairly well answered, even by us in our gold standard project-based learning design elements. But we didn't have agreement on what high quality project-based learning looked like. So we spent over a year of giving input from a smaller advisory board of about 25. We had a larger advisory board who weighed in of range of people from around the world, about 100 formal advisors. And then we took it out on the road for a whole year, getting input from educators at conferences, posting it online. And so this is a consensus and a commitment from many organizations across the world that this is what high quality project-based learning looks like. That's the question we wanted to answer. Next slide, please. So it's the what. What does it look like, so that if we can name it, then we can start making sure we're designing for it. Next slide, please. So we came up with the 6 criteria. The first one is intellectual challenge and accomplishment. So that students are challenged intellectually and they strive for excellence. We think that's really, both those things are important. And as we go to the next slide, rather than create a rubric or a whole set of details, we thought it would be really helpful just for students and teachers and others just to have a series of questions that they can ask themselves when they're looking at their design of their projects. Is the project giving students a challenging problem or question? Is it focused on concepts and knowledge and skills central to some subject area or an intellectual discipline or a career and technical, but it's connected? And that we think it's critical that learners experience research-based instruction and support. So it's not just setting up a question and then saying, hey, go for it, kids. We're going to help you. The plan includes these best practices of teaching and learning. And we work for kids to have this sense of completing work of the highest quality, that craftsmanship and excellence matters. It's authentic. So they work on projects that are meaningful and relevant to their culture, their lives, and their future. When we talk to young people, And I just had a panel, we had a panel of young people at our PBL World Conference last week from a project-based learning secondary school. And those students constantly talked about the authenticity mattering so much. So they were working on things that they cared about that connected to their lives. So next slide, please. And these questions, you're thinking like, are you engaging in work that makes an impact or connects to the world beyond school? Getting kids to think broader, that they actually can use tools or techniques or digital technologies employed beyond the school. So sometimes it's not the what, it's actually the how that they're learning. They're using the tools that real professionals do. And it's critical that students make choices, that they have voice and choice in the project topics, the activities, or often the products. Next slide. We found one of the, consistently when we looked at projects that were successful and students replied that they had high quality experiences, it's almost always public. So the student work is publicly displayed, it's discussed, it's critiqued. It's often, there's also presentations, there's people from the community. Next question, please. Or slide. They share their work in progress as well. It's like public the whole time with peers, teachers, others to get feedback. Often this is a great place where experts in the community come in, or from universities or in the career area. They exhibit their learning and their work to peers and people beyond the classroom. And they receive feedback and engage in dialogue with their audiences. This is really important to think of this as a contingent, a range of options for kids. Not all projects are big exhibitions with hundreds of people there. Maybe sometimes it's just one person. But we found most teachers will start with presenting to have kids present to their peers, which is fine in a step, but it's probably the least powerful. And we really encourage people doing project-based learning to take the chance to bring at least one person out from inside your classroom into the classroom or to the place that you're doing the project. It changes everything. Next slide, please. Similar, the continuum on collaboration. We noticed that, and it was very clear, and there was strong consensus that students collaborate with other students in person. And we did this before the pandemic, but also online, and can receive guidance from adult members and experts. So there's all kinds of different ways that collaboration works. Next slide, please. So it might be working in a team to complete a complex task. That's often what the collaboration looks like. They're learning to become effective team members and leaders. We often say, like, it's so important that you're teaching teamwork and being in a group, not just putting kids in groups to try to figure it out. And they also learn how to work with adult mentors and experts and community members, businesses, organizations. This is critical in adolescent development, that students become proficient and comfortable working with adults outside of school. Collaboration sometimes is a student working online with an adult mentor. It could be working in a team. It doesn't really matter the configuration, but all high quality projects have some form of collaboration. Next one, please. Project management. So we think of this as like, you're not only learning through a project, but you're learning how to manage a project. And we know this is a critical competency and skill for success after post-secondary success and career success. So they're learning different project management processes. That could be anything from design thinking to very structured processes that enable them to proceed from initiation to completion. Next slide, please. So they're managing themselves and their teams throughout a multi-step project. And that's really important. Like when you think of high quality project-based learning, it's not just a lesson, it's not a couple, it's multiple steps. And the complexity and learning the complexity through success and failure at this point is a real critical and a great asset to the students outside of their educational experience. They use project managed processes, tools, and strategies, actual real processes. It could be a calendar. It could be a checklist. One time I had a student who, in describing how project management helped them in the university, it was because they wanted to go to a big match and they knew they had a book they had to read that was quite large. And so they figured out using their project management experience to break it into smaller bits and know that each day they had to read a certain amount so that they could actually go to the big game. And they use perspectives and processes of design thinking as appropriate. So this is another place where design thinking and project-based learning overlap. And the last slide here is reflection. This is critical. The metacognitive process is when the transfer happens. And this was another one where there was just such strong consensus across the advisors and teachers from across the world that it's not a high quality project if students do not reflect on their work and their learning. And it's key that it happens throughout the project. This isn't something that just happens at the end. The next slide, please. So they learn to assess themselves and others and to suggest improvements in their own and others' work. They reflect in writing, in discussion, and they think about all those areas we talked about: academic content, concepts, the success skills, even their own sense of agency. One of my favorite questions is, based on your project and what you learned, what would you do differently next time if you had a similar project? We ask that over and over again. And this is where we really believe that students are transferring the skills and competencies to new and different situations. Otherwise, they just experience the competencies, but they can't quite name it. So often reflections can even be more formally done through portfolio assessments and presentations of learning, as you see on the screen right here. And one more slide, please. So we've been running this campaign. There's a website up, HQPBL.org. We've been trying to get people committing from all over the world. And we do this because we want to ensure that all students, especially those furthest from opportunity, have access to the type of experiences that you saw on the slides. And we're going to see and hear today with the projects that are going to be shared. So as hopefully you'll see, and I know they've done some analysis, these criteria come to life for you when you actually hear and learn from the experts in the field actually doing it and applying the criteria. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm going to stop the sharing of the. Thank you, Bob, for your inspiring presentation, and also Mark, because with this framework that we have already for PBL for SDGs, we are going now to split into groups to deep on this framework by knowing the experience of the projects that we are going to explain in each group. Please, Clara, if you can share the slide where we have the presentation of the two groups that we are going to split, so that everybody can choose one of the groups and participate of the conversation and presentations that is going to be there in each group. We'll have two projects in each one of the groups. There will be room one, which two projects. The one from Escola Virolai that we have here, Sandra Entrena, and we have Quique Vergara that is going to present it also with two students. I think it's Cristina and Eduard that we can see here. That will have the chance to share their experience with this project. And also we have Felip from Eduglobal STEM that will share with us the Autòpsia of the object of desire, also a project of a secondary school. And in room two, we have a project from Institut Montgros that we have here, Laura Becerra, that is going to present it, which is called UN Mission World Refugees. And also project from University of Pompeu Fabra University, which is going to be presented by Professor Patricia Santos, which is here also with us. So I invite you to choose one of the rooms that we are going to split in. Clara is going to create these breakout rooms. Yes, you have down on the screen, you can see the breakout room. So you just choose which is the breakout room that you want to participate, and you join it so that we can split into groups and keep on working and try to see this framework through the experience of these projects. See you in a while. Clara, please, could you see if you, oops, Clara, yeah, could you see if you can change the group of Cristina, which is in room 2 by mistake, and bring her here, please?
Okay. So if you want, I can start. Cristina's here. Okay, perfect. So I'm Sandra. Good afternoon, good morning to everybody. And as Marina already said, we are Sandra and Quique. We are teachers from Virolai School. Virolai School. I'm also the director of the school, and Quique is the pedagogical coordinator. And we have Cristina and Adrià here. They are on holiday, so thank you so much to join with us. And they are going to explain us a little bit about this project. And I want just to introduce you how we work in Virolai School and what's the methodology that we are following, just to understand a little bit the background that we are applying in our school. Because some years ago we decided to start to globalize and to mix different subjects, and to do that we decided, well, we thought that maybe the best methodology the methodology that fits with this idea better, it was the project-based learning. And we decided to mix at the beginning some subjects, and now I think that Quique is agree with me that we mix these subjects more naturally, and we have different teachers involved in this time, in the time that we are working using this PBL. We have different profiles of teachers of math, science, technology, then teachers of history, geography, languages, because in Catalonia we work Spanish and Catalan, but also the English in our case. And we have more the idea to work as a mentors, just to help them to grow and to develop other skills. Is the reason I decided to use this graphic, just to explain that in this globalization, we have also the framework of the SDGs, because the sustainability is one of the points of the culture of the school. And it was so easy to make the relationship between the different subjects and also the SDGs. And then when we start to plan everything, because at the beginning we decide to work like that, but then we need this planning, and we start to select all the things that were interesting from the PBL, the different subjects and the contents if you want, but also this education for the sustainability and these key competencies for the sustainability that were so interesting, so important. And this methodology helped us to work together and to develop with the students more in context and more, I don't know how to explain it, but more significantly. And I think that the systemic thinking, for example, or the anticipation, the regulatory, the strategic, and the collaboration are these skills that help us, that the SDGs help us to develop with the students. But also the other soft skills, okay, in terms to learn, the autonomy, the self-knowledge, for example, this critical thinking, or the data literacy, for example, that now is so important to investigate and to justify all the things that they are learning. And we work on that between approximately between 6 and 10 hours per week, depending on the year. And also in flexible grouping, not just always with the same group or with the same structure all the days, all the hours. So we try to make them the possibility to organize by the needs that they have in the moment. Okay, so now I'm going to introduce you Adrià and Cristina, because they are going to continue with the presentation more concretely with this project.
So, well, I'm Adrià, and well, to start with this explanation about the project Això, tela, tell you that we have worked on this project 6 hours every week during 6 weeks. And well, every single part of the work we have done was explained in our website, which was made by our teachers before starting to work on our project. And well, every student who has the link has access to it. And in my opinion, this site is made to make us solve our questions in a more autonomous way after the oral explanation that our teachers did. So we are students, and well, as you know, we are teenagers, and we are always searching the ways to be, well, to seem like adults and to be treated like adults, and also to be more autonomous. So, well, from my point of view, this is a great way to make us feel like that. When it's time to make the quarterly evaluation, the final quarterly evaluation, this project has a really important role in it, because, well, during these 6 weeks, we practice some other subjects as socials, Catalan, Spanish, English, and science. So the tasks that we complete are related to these subjects, are constantly entering in our evaluation that these subjects were related. And this is why we don't have a specific mark for the project. Next slide, please. So to continue with our presentation, I wanted to explain to you that even though the project is about clothes, as you may see, we are using this as the main topic to arrive to some other more interesting points related to clothes. Some examples are the social stereotypes, sexist aggressions, breach of human rights, child abuse, climate change, etc. The fact that we have chosen clothes as the main topic is because this topic causes us more interest than not directly doing labor justice. but we do work on labor justice with far more interest this way. Clothing is a crucial point of your appearance, well, of our appearance, and while we are growing, it gets more important for ourselves. So placing it as the main point, it's a nice idea to later focus on the real purpose of the project, which is creating our opinion by learning about clothing stereotypes, the clothing production, etc. Well, learning about the topics that I said before, and this is the real purpose. That's why we choose clothes, because clothes is a topic that now in teenagers' lives is really important. And by using this as a main topic, we have been able to arrive easily to work on important and more complex topics. So as in all the projects that we take part in, there is a main objective to achieve. And in this case, as I said before, is to create an opinion regarding the project. And we have another one that is to learn how to cooperate and work in groups. And you may think, well, working groups is something easy. So it's not that simple, because nowadays it's highly recommended to know how to work in group in most of the jobs. It's something that they demand, but not only in your jobs, in your normal days, in your normal life. It's also a really important thing to respect the other's opinion, to respect the others, and also to arrive, to solve the problems. And this is what Sandra told you. We are constantly learning soft skills, such as discussion. I think that discussion is a really important point in this project. And this is why we think that the purpose of this project is to know how to work in groups, to know how to discuss, because if something in the work isn't working right, isn't working as it should be, discussion is a really important point to solve it easily. However, sometimes working in groups is not as that positive as I'm explaining to you, because there are always some members in the group who don't work as much as others. But well, this happens, as you may know, this happens in every single group in the world. So in general, it's something that we need to learn how to control it.
Okay, using this last thing that Adria told you, it helps me to explain how we organize our groups in these projects. Because it's not that easy as it seems, because we are not always in the same group. We have an initial group. With this group, we work in the majority of the tasks and the final products, but also we have an expert group. In this one, we work just a few tasks, and then we return to our initial group to put in common all the tasks. This expert group is formed by choosing in our initial group some topic about the main idea. And then the expert group is formed by all the members of other groups that chooses the same topic as you. And then, as I said, after doing some activities, you return to your initial group to put in common what you have learned. And this also helps us to practice a skill that is very important in life, that is learning how to communicate things. Now I'm going to explain you the three final products. The first one was a letter for a clothing company that is doing something wrong. This letter could be about any topic that we wanted, obviously about clothes, but any other idea about clothes. It could be like stereotypes in society, it could be climate change, it could be conditions of work of the employees on there, it could be anything. And this will helps us a lot, because it's very important in life to know how to write correctly in a formal way. And also it's very important to know how to verbalize all the things that you wanted to say. Because sometimes we think a lot of stuff, but we don't know how to put it like in words. Then we have the second project that was the exchange clothing market. The meaning of this was that you could bring old clothes from home, bring it to school, and then in school they will give you an amount of points. The quantity of the points that they will give you, it will depend on the quantity of clothes that you have bring it. Then the people that organize the market put a price to every piece that arrives from people that bring it from home. And the day of the exchange, you go with all your points, and you could say like, I want this t-shirt, and if the t-shirt costs 3 points and you have 4, you could buy it. This doesn't go finally how we want it, because there was like a poor participation in all the groups, in all the classes, and there were a few people that could exchange clothes because the majority of people didn't bring clothes from home. But besides this, it was a great idea and a great experience also to know that clothes, it's not necessary to throw it away when you are tired of something, because you can recycle it from another one. The third project was the third project was the performance that we did in the street. This parade was very important because it was understood and everyone can see us performing. It was very funny to practice it a lot, and finally it went really good. It was very good because there was someone making a short speech about what was happening in the carpet, and there were others about the group making the performance while this speech was going on. Then I wanted to tell you the evaluation about our teachers on all these projects. Normally, in all these projects, we have a mentor each group, and this mentor keeps correcting every task that we submit and keeps going step by step behind us, telling what we have done wrong and what we need to change. But in this project in particular, teachers decided to change a little bit the correction. What they did was just focusing on correct the final products and not all the tasks in the middle. This gave us a lot of autonomy, because we were the ones that we need to decide what to change, what it was wrong, the timing of the tasks. And at the beginning, it was a little dramatic because anyone knows how to organize a whole group. But finally, this helps us to practice a skill that is autonomy, that it's really important in the future. And now the most important thing for all the here, it's how do we learn? Or we could just ask, do we learn with this method? The answer is yes. Learning by projects helped us to practice other skills that in another method we will not know. When we get older and we start working, thanks of being educated by this way, we could be able to know how to work in groups, how to write formal letters, how to arrive to a solution inside a group, how to control every task that we need to do and know the timing of the task. We will know how to control distractions also, and we will know how the quality of the tasks need to be to submit it. And all these things that I just mentioned are things that in my own, I honestly think I have learned during this project. So just imagine, if we do 4 projects like this while one course, and we have 12 courses, how prepared our generation will be for the future if this type of education exchange around the world. Quique?
Thank you, Cristina. Thank you, Adrià. Before continuing the presentation with the last slide, I want to share with the public, with you, a WhatsApp conversation 5 minutes ago with my students. They attended to Bob Lenz presentation, and they write me something like this: Quique, this is what we do in our school. And I want to share with you how happy I am when my students, our students, are able to identify the high quality PBL criteria in the design of our projects. And thank you, Bob, and thank you, Cristina and Adrià, for being so clear with your explanation. I have just, if I can, I have just 2 minutes to match the high quality project-based learning criteria with our design of the project. The central stone, the nuclear of our project, the nucleus, are the learning goals. We begin all our projects sharing the learning goals with the students and trying to make the students to make the goals by themselves, to appropriate the learning goals. And in this case, this project has curricular goals, curricular learning goals related with economy, related with globalization, with relocation of industry, with environmental issues. But the 5 teachers team that are involved in the design of this project, we are obsessed with the agency of the team people, agency to change the world, an agency to make an impact in the people around them. So 1, 2 of the goals are related with this idea, the idea of making change around our students. We think that the part of authenticity in the project is sure, because we are working about a topic very close to team people. The fashion, it's a way to express their identity. And along the project, we have had 3 or 4 moments where some of the teams has a relation with real companies. For example, we have been working about circular economy and reduce and reuse, and they have an activity to keep in touch with a company to understand the core business of this company. We have here an example of an email that a student shared with us this Sunday, saying us that Zara, one of the most important multinational brands in fashion, answered this letter. Mark is sharing with Sylvia, one teacher, that he's happy because he has received an answer for this company. We have these 3 public products, the parade. You can see here a picture with 2 students making this denounce, making this complaint about the situation. This is a public park in Barcelona near the school. And we made this kind of performance with the carpet and with the students going along the carpet, saying that we have a problem with the fashion industry, we have a problem of laboral rights and other things that they have learned. Cristina and Eduard have talked about collaboration structure in this project. It's not, I can't say more than they, but I think that I can share how we manage the project along these 6-7 weeks we take in every project. The normal way, every team of students begin the project thinking about the steps, about the milestones we have shared with them, and they made a kind of action, a kind of working plan. This is not the last revision of the action plan. Of course, we have half an hour meeting with each group every week to redefine this working plan, to redefine the process of the project. Sometimes we use project management tools as Trello, as other Scrum ideas, and we are used to include the project management as one of the most important parts of the project. And for ending, in this project, we have used 2 tools to improve reflection, especially about learning with the students. Learning diary, where they share with themselves and with the mentors too, what the things that they think they have learned in the project. And the other one is a kind of target, Nadiana target, where they make a kind of auto-assessment about the level of achievement of one of the learning goals. Thank you for your attention, and that's all.
Thank you all, Quique, Sandra, Cristina, Adrià, thank you very much. I think we'll have time to have a conversation on the inspirational work that you have explained us. Felip, would you like to share with us the second project so that afterwards we can open the conversation on both? Bob, sorry, Felip. I would like you to first give a feedback on both projects to start the conversations after the Felip presentations, if you like. Thank you. Felip, you have the word.
You share the screen, I guess. It's perfect for me. Okay. So, well, thank you very much. I don't have more people around me, so I really love the project of Virolai, and also how the student explained it. I think you do it very well. I try to do the best, but but I'm not as good as them in English. So, well, I have to explain you the autopsy of the object of desire. So fashion is really important for students, but cell phones are the most important object of the students. So this is about the death of a cell phone. Okay, so we are a group of high school teachers that is called Eduglobal STEM. We are worried about bringing to STEM science, technology, engineering, and maths the global justice way to look at the world. So I have to tell you that this project, we thought this project to do it in bachillerato, just 1 hour per week, 2 hours per week in 6-7 days at the beginning. And now this project has been done for 5 or 6 teachers in their high schools. And now we are doing in my high school in Ca N'Oriach with second ESO students, and we are doing it like Virolai in a STEM ambit, and we have more time, so we can go further in order to make a more high quality PBL. So I have to say that it was not a high quality PBL at the beginning, but it has grown to a high quality PBL. Well, you say that to us, okay? So next slide, please. I don't know who is sharing.
I'm sharing, Felip and Quique. I don't know how to stop to share. So if you don't mind,
you can share it. You can share it if you
Quique, you can share it. Yeah, it's great.
I know.
Thank you.
Okay, so next slide, please. Next. Pues no va.
I can share it if you want.
Yes, if you can.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay, so yes, the project begins with the news of the death of the smartphone. Okay, this new starts talking about tantalum, about Xiaomi, about climate change, about the price of the mobile that you can buy it by 3 Bitcoins or so. Okay, and there are only 300 of them in the world, and there will be no more cell phones in the world. This is our news of February 12th of 2051. So we are in the future, and the first thing that we ask students is that if that news can be real. So we make them to think in the future and how true is this news, and we use this certainty scale, and we calibrate it with phrases like, for example, there are aliens, so you have to put them in if it is really true or is it not true, okay? If the sun will raise, if, I don't know, if you threw a coin, it will be head or tails, whatever. They have to classify these statements in order to make a scale to calibrate them, and then we make some we read the text and they start thinking if the things that we say can be reality in 2050. Okay, so okay, yeah. So when they do that, they realize that they don't have all the information. Okay, and then we present the challenge. The challenge is to make a forensic technical report, yeah, about the death of the cell phone, and they have to tell us the parts of the cell and also why the cell is dead, why the phone is dead. Okay, so when they try to do that, they assume that they don't have all the information. So we start in groups of 5 people, and they start to work in groups. Can you go to next slide?
Sorry, Felip, let me just interrupt you. We have just 10 minutes to close the group, so I would like to ask you if you can go just a little bit faster. Thank you very much.
Okay. So in the expert groups, these are forensics, chemistry, environmental, NGO, and businessmen. Yeah, they have to try to investigate these things. Can you put the slide? Because yes, okay, thank you. So they will learn how to build a smartphone. They will learn about rare earth where minerals are extracted. They learn about waste they generate and about the whole construction processes from the beginning to the end. They learn that this is a not circular one. Okay. They also learn about the elements of the periodic table we use to make mobile phones, and that they are not the most abundant of all the periodic table. They learn about production and, well, it's extraction, but they are businessmen, so they are telling it as production, and the offer and the demand. Okay. They learn about human exploitation, wars, the location, and the curious coincidence with the meaning of rare earth, lithium, and other materials, and these wars. Okay. And finally, they know the importance of how they consume, and what they consume here has a global impact. Okay. So we are teaching the local concept. So act local and do it global. Okay. So when they learn all those things, they come back to the group. Can you put the next slide, please? Okay, they go back to the base groups and they do the forensics. And then we tell them, okay, so you know that, and now what? What do you have to do? And the first project was really short in time, and we have repeated in some high school, and we have done different products. Okay, some have done news on TV, explaining what happened to the cell phone. Why is the cell phone dead? Okay. Others make a report of what has happened and what we have to do to not kill the phone. Okay. Another group, the second Això group, people of 12, 13 years old, and they do a museum exhibition and some electronics too. You can see it in this big phone. And the last year, the second Això students want to do something more. They do the museum, and also they run a campaign to collect used mobile phones to help NGOs. This is, can you press the button? This is the Mona NGO that helps monkeys in rainforest by taking cell phones. So next slide, please. At the beginning, it was a 5 days project, and then became to a 7 days project, and now it's a 50 days project. So it has grown in complexity and also in quality, we think. The project will be improved in next implementations and with all the students told us. And this is a little bit of what have explained it. I think it's enough time. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Felip. Thank you very much. And sorry, because being the second one, sometimes it happens like this. Okay, I would like first to have the feedback of Dr. Bob Lenz, just to see how you have seen both projects related to the PBLWorks framework.
Yes, thank you. Well, congratulations on fantastic projects. They're both very inspiring. I think Adrian, Cristina, your descriptions of the project, as well as you were really highlighting how you were able to reflect on the work that you did, and then tie it to the skills and the competencies that you were learning, and even further then think forward to how you're going to use those outside of school and work and career. And so that's exactly what we hope to see. And Felip, I really love the concept of the autopsy of the cell phone. I just think it's just that topic is, I'm curious. What I really want to applaud, and what we hoped would happen with the HQPBL criteria and framework, is it would have exactly what you did, is take a look at your project that you were doing, and then ask the questions in the criteria, and then make modifications and adjustments, and to see a project go from a couple days to 15, and as you keep revising it, and just, and as you said, maybe it wasn't as collaborative as you had hoped, and so now this next one you'll be able to bring that out even more so, and you have that set of questions to guide you. So fantastic work. It's very inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. So we'd like now to have your views on how did you see the projects, which ideas have PBL for FTG projects, and also connected to these experiences, or even if the people that has explained the experiences want to add any other detail on the projects, please. Let's do it now. How did you see the presentations? I think here we are just a little group of people, so we are like in trust to say.
Well, I have to say sorry about my English.
Yes, thank you, Felip.
I was really nervous, so I really thank to Adrian and Cristina to come here and explain it as well as they did. Thank you, Bob. We have I make a checklist of the high quality PBL, and I know that we don't do all the tips. So it's really interesting, because now we know how to make it better the next year. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's what we were thinking, is like, and also just remember that continuum. So what we agreed is that all high quality projects have these 6 criteria to varying degrees, and each project's going to be a little different. So if there's because hopefully you're doing more than one project a year or over a course of a student's learning, so they'll have different opportunities. So one project might be lighter on collaboration, and so the next one can be more collaborative. Some can be lighter in public product. And then there's other opportunities where it becomes very public. So it's also thinking about the totality of projects that students are doing, I think is also helpful when you think about the criteria.
I have two new ideas to share with you. One is that this is the 7th year that we try to implement this project. And every single year, the project is different.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, Felip, in the way you say in your presentation, the iteration with the project improve, and we adapt the project every year with your group of students with the needs in the moment. And of course, we are working in a 5-teacher group, and this team change every year. So every year we design the project, taking the ideas, taking the knowledge and the expertise of the teacher who is involved in the project. And I think that this idea is very important for us as a designers of project. And the other one is the idea of network. Felip, you and me, we know each other for 7-6 years ago, and we have been talking about something related with your project and something related with the project we share. And the idea of every conversation can be a change in our ideas and in our project is very important. And I think that it's a competence too, as a teachers and a citizen, So we need to share our projects, to share our ideas, to make the world better, but to improve our designs too. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We know that the other room is already in the plenary session, so we will just everybody turn to the plenary session and have conclusions and final words there. So you have, if there is something that you still want to say, you could be able to do it on the plenary session. So thank you very much. And Clara, if you want to turn that.
World's largest lesson website, and that teachers around the world were going here and trying out different examples and reporting on their successes and ways that the different project-based learning activities were influencing real world problems and real world problem-solving approaches and conferences and meetings, etc.
Yes, that would be really nice. Is our idea of PBL for SDG initiative. We start only in Catalonia, but of course we would love to make it much bigger. But this is the idea, to share all the projects and inspire other teachers and reuse, and would be great that it would be a more global platform. For sure, we could learn a lot from people from all over the world.
Okay, thank you very much, both groups, for the work you have done. It has been really inspiring, at least at room 1, but for sure at room 2 also. We would like now to connect all this we have talked with our experience in the working group on competencies for sustainability. Mari, if you want to close a little bit the presentation of this working group.
Yes, one moment, because I have to.
Are you sharing by yourself the presentation?
I can share it by myself, but I
Great.
have to look for it.
And at the end, we will have a final words from Eduard Vallory, but please, Dr. Bob Lenz, if you want also to say something to close, that will be great. Mar, whenever you want.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just... Okay, so as I was explaining you at the beginning, this working group that we have been working on during all this year It was composed by 21 teachers from different educational levels. There were teachers from primary school, secondary school, and university. And all of them had experience with project-based learning already. So the idea was to have an in-depth discussion about how these 8 key competences for sustainability could be developed through the different phases of a project. Okay, so what we have been is analyzing different projects and making some sessions on reflecting about these competences. We have identified activities and specific resources that can facilitate the development and also the assessment of these competences. And we have designed we define the indicators of achievement of these competences in order that we can design different kind of assessment instruments. Okay, for us, it was important that to put the focus on these competences. So we have to have the possibility and the tools to assess them in order to make the students aware how they are progressing in these competences, so they can develop these competences. So this was specifically the work we have been done, and with all this work, we have written a guide for the design of projects for sustainability. That it has mainly three resources. One are some guidelines identifying this in the different phases of the project. How to work on with these competences. Another tool is the framework, how to assess these competences. And the third tool is like a canvas for the teachers to have how to structure this kind of projects. So I show you just the first material, a brief idea of the materials. So here what we have done is to identify in which phase of the development of a project, what are the competences that we can work on, and specifying the learning outcomes, the activities that can facilitate this competence, and how can we assess it in each one of the phases of the project. So we think this is it can be very useful in order to design a project. Okay, so the result is something like this. It is a big table with lots of information, but that gives a lot of ideas how to facilitate these competences in each phase of a project. Okay, facilitate and assess. So the second part is we built like an assessment framework based on a formative assessment that helps to develop these competences. And there are some guidelines to different assessment tools that we can design, like rubrics, checklists, different kind of observation grids. And so we have identified these achievement indicators, and with these achievement indicators, we can develop different kinds of instruments depending on the activity that we are going to work on. Okay. And then there is this canvas that here it's like very small, but it's just to start designing a project and structuring. So asking first what kind of competences will we work and in what context, how do we work it? So connecting the competences with the learning activity and what kind of scaffolding we can give to the students in order to facilitate this development. What do we expect to connect it with the assessment, okay? And what kind of evidences we can get from this process, and what kind of tools and feedback we can give to the students to help them improve in these competences. So the idea is that this guide, it will be uploaded in this platform, digital platform for the teachers, and that during the next course, some projects will be designed using this guide at different educational levels. And the idea is that this is a useful tool for the teachers, and we increase the number of projects that there are in this platform and focused on on these guidelines, and we hope that these materials will inspire new teachers and schools, and this community will grow. This is our purpose. So this is the work that we have been done with all these 21 teachers that we were working during this year on this.
Thank you, Marc. I see also that there is, okay, you can stop sharing your presentation if you want. Okay. I think we can have just 2-3 final minutes to share the final thoughts. I would like, first of all, Mr. Bob Lenz to give us a final message, and afterwards, Mr. Eduard Vallory. Thank you.
Well, thank you. My only disappointment today is I could only be in one room. The work in the room I was in, as I shared with them, was quite inspiring, especially in Preston, seeing how it illustrates how these two concepts work together of project-based learning and the SDGs, especially hearing the student voice and seeing their connections to the work that they're doing, to their lives and to their futures. And so that's what we hope for at PBLWorks. It's and the other piece that we saw was the use of now 2 guidelines and criteria that can help people improve that project-based learning. Like anything that really makes a difference gets better with iteration. And I think we're all better off having these great resources. And here at PBLWorks and the Buck Institute, we hope to continue to partner with you all to make this happen for as many students in the world as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lenz, and thank you every person that has made the presentations of the projects, because they were really inspiring, and I think that we have all learned a lot. Also with Professor Marc Carrió, and I just give the word to Eduard Vallory to close the session, and thank everyone that has come today to this site event. And we keep on going with this PBL for SDG work that we are doing in our schools and higher education institutions. Eduard.
Thank you very much again to all of you. Several years ago, we did an event in Barcelona to present how in primary, secondary, and university levels, project-based learning were great for creating awareness and equipping people with the competencies to answer the Sustainable Development Goals. During these years, we've been working even more with UPF, with Bob and his team at the Buck Institute and PBLWorks, and also with the Catalan government that we have here, some representatives, and particularly the delegate of the Catalan government at the United States, that had been helping us with the organization of the event. We are trying to show, as we've done with the event, that PBL is a great approach to create meaningful and transformative pedagogies for all kids in the school and universities. And we hope that this is, as Bob and Marc were saying, a beginning of a long process of collaboration to spread out the word and the example, and to move the lecture approach towards meaningful and deep learning experiences, as the ones that we've seen in the 2 groups. So thank you very much to everybody, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.